Okay, again, we're here at the Louisiana Music Educators Association annual conference in all-state concerts and events. And today we have Dr. Chris Heidenreich, who's the Director of Bands for Louisiana Tech University in Ruston, Louisiana. Dr. Heidenreich, we're glad to have you here and being a part of this. Great season. I have a freshman. I'm wearing my Louisiana Tech.
Got the right colors.
I got the right colors.
That's
I'm
right.
a McNeese grad,
That's right.
Proud McNeese grad. So let's get that clear.
But now you're paying tuition at Tech, so you got to wear. You got to
paying
represent.
tuition, and you're paying my son to be in your marching band and the Band of Pride, and also the Wind Symphony there and the ensembles. But Dr. Heidenreich, what brought you to Louisiana? How did we get here? And the excitement to get you at Tech. I know it was a great feeling for everyone.
It was the job, the ability to be the director of bands of a total program. So at my previous position, I left collegiate marching band directing when my kids were growing up. So I got to go to swim meets, I got to coach baseball, I got to go to baseball games. But then after the nest is empty, it's time to do something else.
Sure.
So the job came at the right time, and wanted to try the South. I'm a Midwest person, so wanted to see what the South was like, and we've been here 3 years and love being at Tech and love the South.
Right, it's almost like the feeling we get as parents and when we go to the atmosphere at Tech, it's almost like you've been there forever. It's like you plugged right into Louisiana.
I think some of that was COVID.
Okay.
Everybody was ready for a change, and you see that with our students today. They experienced something that none of us experienced.
Right.
And I think what they wanted was the desire to do something new, to go back to what they felt was comfortable and familiar. And so after COVID, I think it was an easy just kind of transition to reinvigorate things and get things going again.
Thinking about, we've been talking a lot with different folks. Who inspired you? Who were the people, names? Was it one person? Was it many? Who inspired you along the way to become a music educator or just an educator in general?
So after you mentioned something yesterday, I started thinking about my path here. And I remember my 4th grade fitting. I don't know if your sons did this or not, but back in the day, and even when I was teaching public school, the directors would have a demonstration day.
Sure.
Where they would bring the instruments and they'd play them. And I remember Mr. Schott, who was the trumpet teacher, when I was in 4th grade, playing the trumpet and going home and saying, my parents were divorced at the time, and I said, Mom, that's what I want to play. And it was mid-70s, and my mom, being a single mom on her own, didn't have the money. So my aunt had, back then, a 50-year-old trumpet, so I'm sure now it's a lot older than that.
Wow.
And it was up in her attic, and that's the reason I got started. And then I remember being a sophomore in high school, and there was just something about marching band, just the whole, what that feeling was, that I thought to myself, this is what I want to do. And I was a first-generation college student. My dad had his own business, and I remember when I told him, I was in his office sitting across the desk, and I remember he looked at me, and there was a long pause, because I think he imagined someday I would take over his business as an accountant. And he said, okay, what does that mean? And so, without much guidance, I really ended up at the right place at the right time. And my first mentor was my high school band director, but my first mentor as a musician was the band director who was there. His name was Mark Kelly, and he'd been there 30 years after he'd retired, and was just, when you look at the band directors in Ohio in the 70s and 80s, they were all Bowling Green grads. And honestly, I had no idea. I chose Bowling Green partly because it was far enough away from home, but close enough to home.
Right.
And when I made the audition, it was, okay, let's go to Bowling Green, and that was it.
It's kind of like Caleb. Tech's just about 3.5 hours away from
That's
us. Close enough, yet far enough.
It can make all the difference.
Yeah.
So he was the mentor as far as bands were concerned, and then at the same time I sang in choir. I was in the orchestra. The orchestra director at Bowling Green is now the director of the Atlanta Philharmonic. I mean, that's a very prestigious position.
Oh, absolutely.
I was just at Bowling Green at the right time.
So
a
definite
place.
all-star list of
inspiration. Yeah, it really
there.
was.
Oh,
it really
absolutely.
was.
That's incredible. So here we are, you're here, Louisiana Music Association, Educators Association, glad Tech's a part of what we do, always been great. What do you have anything you want to say to members of the organization about Louisiana Tech and about, or to future students that you're trying to because everybody's trying to recruit, right, to get to your school. What do you have to say about the
So I think
things?
the biggest thing, and it's kind of wherever I go, keep playing your instrument. I think that's the biggest key for me. I see so many students that say, you know, I'm a senior, close the case, I'm going to be done. And I don't think it matters what school you choose. Obviously, I'd love for everyone to choose tech, but I know that's not the place for everyone.
Right.
We're a mid-sized school. I'm always amazed at the loyalty that the students show for tech. The tech gear that students wear when we have an activity on campus, just their enthusiasm. But that environment, some students want a bigger environment, some students want a smaller environment. And my message to them is just keep playing. I'm now conducting my second community band. In Michigan I conducted one, and here in Ruston I conduct one. And I see folks that have been playing their instrument 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. I've even had members that one of the last things they do in life is to make music with a community band.
Sure.
And those are the things that inspire me. And I want those things, the message I want to send is no matter where you go, there's a place for you to do a small part, whether it's be in a chamber ensemble or a jazz ensemble, or to be involved in every group that's on campus that makes music. I would just encourage you to find those places and talk to the directors about how you can continue to make music, not just in college, but beyond it.
It's funny that you say that. It's not funny that you say that, but it's remarkable because we were speaking to a middle school director, Kyle Cook, who's a middle school director in the state, who's echoed the same thing that you just said. It doesn't matter where you go, what you do, find the right fit, but bring your horn with you. Find an ensemble.
And sometimes there's money. That's always a good thing for mom and dad.
Yeah.
But more than anything, it's just the joy. There's the connection on campus that students have when they're a part of a musical ensemble.
Sure.
My wife is a great example. She was another first generation college student, and she went through 5 changes in major. But she stayed in marching band. We didn't meet until junior year, so I'm not responsible for her staying in the group.
Right.
It was because of the connections that she made.
Sure.
And looking back, she says there's no doubt that the reason she didn't fall out of college was because she made that connection. And I know not everyone has that story, that could be an extreme, but I think it's just an example of how important it is to get connected to campus right away. And making music is just such a great way to do that.
Right, and you guys, one of the remarkable things I see about the Louisiana Tech Band of Pride is the connection that you make with the athletic programs there, whether it be football or the hoop troop. I'm learning a lot about the hoop troop. Just a phenomenal, fun thing.
There's a lot you'll learn about the hoop troop.
I know I haven't made a game yet, but I've watched one on TV the other night.
So my predecessor, Jim Robkin, is kind of some people call him the father of basketball bands.
Oh, absolutely.
And so the traditions that we have, you didn't see the tradition, we didn't quite make it last week, but if the team scores 100 points, the band runs the top level.
That happened the other night, though.
It did, but it happened after the game. Normally it happens as soon as 100 points.
During the game.
During the game, right.
So because they scored the 100 at the buzzer.
But I held them back because I said, we got to play the end of the game. We can't
play the alma mater.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, so if we're in the early fourth quarter, we're going around the
We're going
arena
around the top. We're going
immediately.
around the top, right.
And I'm so glad that, when directors change, guards change, that traditions continue no matter what. That's important to the university and the community.
So it's important to tech. That's what tech has, I remember the traditions I had at my university, Bowling Green. I think the one thing that I brought to tech was singing the alma mater. Prior to me getting there, they just played it. And my second year, I said, you know what, we're going to start singing it. And the smile on Dr. Geis's face every time we sing it is just priceless. And it's something that I remember having a connection to the words and the text of the alma mater that I hope I've brought to tech. But you're so right. There's so many things that he instilled. And I'm sure sometimes it was just an offhanded thing. Well, let's do this. And you do it once, it becomes a tradition.
It does.
And you do it twice, and you can't ever live without it.
It's locked in.
That's exactly right.
It's locked in.
And I just enjoy that part.
You mentioned Dr. Geis. I know he's retiring. I hate to see that, but I know it's time to retire when it's time to retire. But his enjoyment of that university, you can see it on his face. You can see it in his actions. We've been to tailgate parties. He's right there. He's at your pep rallies in front of the Alumni Center, enjoying every minute of it. That says a lot about administration. Do you have any words about that?
Well, he's a tech grad,
and
then taught at tech before he took over as president.
Yeah.
And I know that runs, he literally bleeds tech blue. There's no doubt about it. And I think the separation will be as difficult for him as it will be for us because he's an institution.
Sure.
He has lived the tech motto of be ever loyal be.
Absolutely. And I know Dr. Henderson, there's a lot of great things that he's going to bring to the university because he loves that area as well. Is he a tech grad?
He is not.
Okay.
He's not, but his son is attending tech.
Okay.
And that was one of the reasons he talks about his connection to the university. His father, that's what you're thinking of. His father is a tech grad.
That's what it
And I
was.
believe his mother taught mathematics there.
Okay.
So he
there's
grew
some
up,
connection.
yeah, there's a very strong
and he's going to ever loyal be as well.
I believe so.
Yeah.
I believe that's
great.
That's true.
Well, Dr. Heidenreich, it's been a pleasure to have you here with us at the LMEA conference. We look forward to years ahead, and go Dogs.
Go Dogs. Thanks
All right,
very
man.
much.
Thank you.